Starting off with the face rip, using whatever medium that you choose. I'm using smooth on skin tight silicone. Unfortunately, somehow one of my containers got contaminated. I don't know how. I'm usually super careful, but gotta work with what I got. I'm just creating a cut all the way down my face, and then gonna create another small section that you'll see here in a second, just so it looks like my skin has been ripped and there's different layers. Once you do that, you're gonna wanna set it with a translucent powder. You do want your silicone to be a little bumpy like mine is, that way it actually looks like skin ripping and not just a straight line. Now before you start on the skull or muscle part, actually you can do it in whatever freaking order you want to do it in, but I just wanted to get this part over with before I mapped everything out. I'm going in with my foundation. You can get a little bit on the silicone, but you don't have to put too much on right now because we're going to go over blending it into your skin later. And don't be afraid to amp up the drama on this side. I'm putting a lot of contour on, really gonna define everything, gonna do a really dark eye, because you kind of want to match the other side of your face. You don't have to, this is a free country, but you know, I was just feeling it. So if you're feeling something, you just gotta ride with it and do it. Don't worry, I'm not going to show you all my tricks just yet. You gotta wait for another video to come out and watch that. Using whatever face painting products you have, you can use liquid lipsticks, cream shadows, cream liners, whatever you want to use. I'm going in with an alcohol palette as my base because I want to layer some cream highlights on top. And I mean, if you're going to be wearing this all night, you kind of want part of it to last so you don't have to worry about smudging it around if you're like making out with that hot dude at the bar. So inappropriate? Maybe, but that's life. Now guys, whenever you're doing a look, any look actually, just make sure you have a couple of reference pictures. Like I just Googled face muscles and I'm kind of going off what that picture looks like so I can create my own colors and customize it to the way that I like it. But I'm going in with like a rusty orange color first so I can layer some dark reds and some like nice salmon pink colors on top. Then I'm just going in with a little bit lighter of a shade just to create those muscle lines and definition so it actually looks like your real muscles. Right now I'm starting off with the highlighting because I can add darkness in later. Make sure you're paying attention to the way that the lines of the muscles go. Like around your eye, they circle around, and then right above it, they go straight up. So just keep that in mind if you want it to look realistic. If you don't want to be realistic, then do whatever you want to do. And if you are using alcohol palettes, I'm sure people who have the alcohol palettes know this, but if you don't, please do not put it around your eyeball because that will not feel good taking it off. You have to take it off with rubbing alcohol. So just keep that area around your eye clean, and you can add it in with cream paints, water-based paints, stuff like that. And like with any special effects or a painting project, whatever you're doing, it's not going to look like anything until it starts to look like something. So don't get frustrated if you're doing this step right now and you're like, this looks like absolute shiitake mushrooms. Like, it's okay. It'll get better. You can only get better if you practice and you have patience. period. Another thing to keep in mind if you are getting frustrated is just take a step back, move on to something else, and then come back and work on it, because chances are you're going to look at it 10 minutes later and be like, oh damn, I am pretty good at what I do. That's just how life goes. So use that in any situation in life. You guys didn't think you were learning life lessons today, but I fooled you. Now that I finished with my alcohol palettes, I'm going to go in with my cream palette that I have. This is the Makeup Forever Flash palette. Just customizing colors, making it work for me, yada yada yada. Now remember what I told you guys about putting the cream face paints around your eye instead of the alcohol palette? Well, here we are doing it live. Now what you're about to see is a moment of sheer panic. Yeah, I thought I wasn't recording that whole thing, and I almost freaked out, to say the least. Keeping it raw and real on Erin Kelly Makeup YouTube channel. Going in with an eyeliner, I'm going to map out where my teeth and my jawbone and all that good shit is gonna be. Again, have a reference picture out. I just googled human skull. I'm looking at that kind of stuff. If you have a makeup look that you're trying to copy exactly and you're gonna post it, make sure you credit that person. They worked hard on it. I'm going to fill in my skull with natural colors. I'm keeping black and white. I'm using a bone color later on and a brown in there just to keep it more like your real skull and bones would look like. I think all that glitter stuff going around is super awesome. Y'all know I love some glitter, but I've been seeing a lot of it and I just want to see a regular old skull right now, you know? Now when filling in your jawbones, your cheekbones, keep in mind where they are on your face. It will look really weird if you're not placing it where it is on your face. You want to be realistic, yeah? Realistic, yeah? Oh my gosh, I need some coffee. I think what's most important here is that you are looking at the look as a whole instead of doing a tiny little piece and getting all the details done in that one section. Just start slapping on some colors. You can always take it off and reblend it or add more. Just start placing colors down so it starts to look like something instead of doing one tiny little tooth and get that whole thing done and then you have to do it all again. Like, just take a step back and breathe. Just playing around with highlights and shadows right now before I add depth in with the other colors. Keep in mind, wherever you want it to look sunken in or not there, you want to keep that part dark, that's your shadow, and whatever you want to appear there and come forward, that is your highlight. Here we go with the bone color. It's just a white with a little bit of yellow in there and a tiny bit of brown to create that, like, you know, the bone color. The skull look I decided to go for is a little bit more rustic and messy, so I'm just going to go in and add a couple little cracks in the bone, add some more highlighting and shading in there with some brown, just because I like to make a mess, and so do my bones. Basically, the whole point I'm trying to make throughout this whole video is it's okay if you're not perfect. It's okay if it doesn't look like every line is clean. Sometimes life is messy and you gotta pick up the pieces or place them wherever you want them. This is art. It is interpreted however you want it to be interpreted, and if somebody doesn't like that, then tell them to go take an art class. Also, keep in mind that I am a painter, so everything I do is going to be 20 times more complicated than you need it to make. I'm very detail oriented, so there are tiny things in there that probably nobody else picks up on except for myself that I could have probably left out, but again, I am who I am, and y'all's are gonna like it. Before I add any more shadows into my look, I'm going to go in and blend in the rest of my silicone. Start off with some light and darker shades so it looks like your natural skin. Your skin is not just made up of one color, it has many different pigments in it, so just play around with that until it looks the way that you want it to look. Now we're going to go in and add some depth to the blood that we're going to be adding. Blood, again, you don't just have one color of blood. Stuff could dry, stuff could still be dripping out. There's darkness and lightness in there. I'm just creating depth in the silicone with a darker, more maroon red, similar to the colors that we used in the muscles. After I do all that jazz, I'm going to go in and add more depth underneath the cut because you're going to have shadows under there and it's going to be darker than a lot of the other stuff that you've placed. You can also go in, I completely forgot to record this because my camera is amazing and likes to shut down because it gets overheated. Go in and add some black eyeshadow on top of that black to add even more depth and darkness in there. Now what's going to happen when you really rip your skin? Your skin's going to be so irritated, so you want to go in with that same dark bloody kind of color that we were using before and just place it around your skin just to add a little bit of irritation. Don't go crazy, you still want it to look natural. My motto is blood is good, but blood doesn't take over. Now I'm just using a, what am I using, Erin? Tell me what you're using. I'm using just a skinny paintbrush and just the Ben Nye stage blood. Any blood that you get from a Halloween store will do. You want it to be a little bit more liquidy so it kind of flows, because what's going to happen is it's going to start to drip down your face instead of making it look like a forced drip. You want it to drip how blood would drip down your face. You feel? That ain't no booger, that's my nose ring. And also, don't forget to go and paint inside your nostrils, because if you have a nose like I do that tends to stick up just a little bit more, that's going to show. So do that.